I learned a lot casting LCS Academy last season, and as you may be able to tell by the length of my hair, I'm not legally allowed to go outside, so I have time. Let's talk about how my casting changed, and let's start in 2013 with, yes, 13-year-old me casting Counter-Strike.
Stemphis creeping up behind him in Laterum area. Aria's nice pick, crucial, challenges fast, and goes down as well. Aria now, next on the chopping block. He and Drone both playing from CT. Could be a weakness if there was any utility or...
Now that's terrible for a lot of reasons. I'm going to push forward though, because I think there's a connection. I started getting serious work a few years later. I started looking to get serious work a few years later with Arena of Valor. My play-by-play at that time sounded like this.
Nova can test this and potentially try to steal it away.
0-8 and Shaka, they both ult in. Agni's grasp will land. Shaka gets up close, but no mercy does get the Abyssal Dragon. Elwood steps down to Nature's Realm and it decimates Shaka. 0-8 incredibly low. Surmaster though, he dives in. He'll find the trade and big damage. No mercy and Elwood fall.
The most glaring issue that connects those two is originality. I'm not actually casting, I'm copying how other casters that are successful in the genre commentate. And that is a major problem, I think, for a lot of commentators. As you're developing, it's very difficult to find your own voice. There's a temptation to go with what works, and I'd dove down that hole. It led to a style that sounded like a better commentator had hit his head and was having a bad day. It didn't play to any of my strengths. So I decided to do some soul-searching. I took a step back from casting for a few weeks. I did a lot of VOD review. I worked out what I liked. I consulted with the LPL's resident brain cell Raz, and I decided to go back to the casting I'd loved as a kid. The casting that had made me decide I wanted to be a commentator back when I was 13.
This is going to be a tough play. Sandoval, got him!
I think that's my favorite call of yours this year.
The magic of Giants radio commentators Kruk and Kipe wasn't the riveting play-by-play. They didn't do a line of G Fuel before their broadcasts so they could be a rap god for Twitch chat. I'm pretty sure they don't even know what rap is.
You know, sometimes it can get really weird in here, and you get seagulls, you get rain, and you need a Brockabrella.
But they do share something with esports, something with Anders and Semler, the Counter-Strike commentators that got me into esports at DreamHack Winter in 2013. Their power, both duos, comes from their restraint.
Still no bomb plant. Fenix is putting it down. There's not even a smoke for CT spawns. That's a massive risk to take, but it works out. So's putting 3 people out of apartments without any grenades, but that worked as well. And with Cold actually still lurking in middle, this is going to be a very tough retake for Na'Vi. C's going to get a good kill in there. Fallen up in the apartments, and now that Cold has gone down, he has a bit of an issue here. They do not have, and that misses the grenade. They still get the kill. Zeus to pick up a triple. With that missed Molotov, that could have gone horribly wrong.
Their broadcasts don't derive from ESPN's Sports Center. They don't focus on the big plays or the highlight clips. It's all about the stories, the players, the teams, the season. That's the style of broadcasting I wanted to bring to esports when I was 13 and bad. A broadcast built around entertainment and storytelling with a dash of gravitas. But I didn't know how then. Now, 7 years after I started casting Counter-Strike, I think I finally understood casting enough to rebuild how I cast from scratch. I just needed feedback, some kind of platform where I could put this experimental casting in front of League of Legends fans and force them to compare it with the casters they'd loved for a decade. I needed a focus group.
Hello, and welcome to Academy Rush. I'm James Dash Patterson here to bring you the first ever broadcast of 4 simultaneous League of Legends games. Bringing you Golden Guardians versus Counterlogic Gaming, where CLG will finally be able to play with their starting bot laner, Win. We'll see if it turns their season around as they face Huhi, who's been shining in the support position. Then, TJ will be casting Damonte and Soligo as they duke it out in Dignitas versus 100 Thieves. Damonte has been playing Champion Roulette. We'll see if he busts out a new pick in that game today.
For my first cast, I didn't want to rock the boat. It was my only cast that season and my only chance to convince producers I was half decent. I basically just brought my normal cast and slowed it down a bit. My biggest success from that cast is how much I loved my play-by-play. It was slower and more intentional. It sounded big and powerful. By lowering my baseline energy, I made returning to my normal energy sound more hype than all the yelling I'd been doing in Arena of Valor.
Acadian now running from contracts. Here we go. Call of the Forge God will be deployed. First TP in, that's Lorlo. Fake God's already here. The equalizer's deployed, but it's not in time. First blood for this fight. Over to 100 Thieves, and Acadian's called out as well, as he will join Phoenix on the grey screen. This is devastating for Dignitas. I didn't think there was a hope, but the case has now been made. His Sunfire Cape is completed. First item for Prismal. He has a massive impact on that team fight. Call the Forge God, the perfect setup. Fake God arcs in from the bottom of the map. And I'm a believer again, bot lane Horn.
The parts of my Arena of Valor casting that I remember proudly are rarely my actual casting. It's the desk interactions, stalling for time, waiting for the word in our ear that the Vietnamese desk had finished reading their multitudinous ads and we could finally get into the show.
The AIC 2019 is back, and before we get into the grand final later on today, we have a few moments to have a little treat.
TJ, I have 3 letters, 2 numbers, and a punctuation mark for you.
Okay.
It's AOV 3.0.
Whoa! I
did the math.
right.
I did the math
I'm
before
glad
it.
you did the math. My name's TJ, the preeminent, all-knowing source font of AOV knowledge that some beings mistake for a mere mortal. Next to me is D2.
I'm dimensional 2 today.
Dimensional 2 is what the D stands for.
So
I wanted to bring that into game, and that's what I focused on for my next cast, unaware of my impending failure. Able to fall back and target prioritize in the middle of that chaos. I particularly liked how little Prismal's presence or absence in the fight made a difference. That was one of the things that really hurt me in the spring split. I was watching this 100 Thieves side, and the Prismal breezy bot lane would be so, I'm going to say undervalued by the team, but that's a little harsh. I don't know what the conversations inside 100 Thieves Academy are. That first cast of the summer split was a disaster. My throat was hurt and my voice sounds cracked and tense. My efforts to slow down the downtime sound lost and confused. Panicked by the bad cast, I fell back into my AOV days and the bad habits from there. My play-by-play sounds just as bad. 3v3 for the fight now. As Anda and Matt pull back, Anda's gonna get knocked back, slaughtered, pinned down. This Urgot is huge. This has been exactly what 100 Thieves need in the fight. McGee was kiting him around, and this is a 1v1 I don't think Poom feels comfortable taking. He needs to stall this out, and he does so beautifully. Back on in while Contracts finds the kill, and EG have been devastated in this fight. What a flash dazzle. Q's gone as well, and EG decimate 100 Thieves. So I swapped my pillows, ordered a new brand of tea, and worked up a list. In order to make my downtime work, I had to have quicker pacing, keep moving between points, have a warmer voice, project interest with my tone as well as my words, and focus more on player narrative. I worked hard during the downtime, and before I knew it, it was time for... It's week 4 of Academy, and I'm super excited. I'll tell you why in a moment. First though, my name is TJ, and we're here with TSM versus CLG. You may have caught some of the action over the previous weeks, and this ties into why I'm super excited. As we near the midpoint of our season, TSM are in first place, 5-1. CLG, on the other hand, just lost yesterday. There are 4 wins, 3 losses. And get this, part of a 5-way tie for second place. I hadn't totally fixed the downtime, but I was clearly on the right path. My lighter tone was more engaging, and characterization and player storytelling was actually pretty damn good. An awful lot about TSM. I want to circle back to that CLG bot lane I was just vaguely talking of, because they're good as well. It does feel like Phil can sometimes get over-aggressive. They do feel less polished than the TSM Academy bot lane, but they have been a key part of their team's success. Here on this Tristana, some stats for you. This split, it has been played a grand total of 6 times. The 5 number is how many times it's lost. 5 out of those 6 times the Tristana has lost. That's a whole lot of EU minor leagues, BCS, and LJL that has been played in. At this point, I'd played just under 800 games of League of Legends since I started learning it a year and a half ago. That meant I was starting to be able to tie in my in-game analysis with player narrative in some cool ways that I didn't expect. I wasn't totally satisfied. My play-by-play was still below the standard I'd set in my first Academy cast, so I went to go work on that. I talked with my good friend and co-caster Niberia and decided that the problem with my play-by-play was that I was coming in too fast. If you watch the clips that work from that first cast, I start fights with remarkably low energy, giving me lots of room to scale up into the big moments. Because I was worried about my teammates, I was coming in too loud, which left actually less room for me to build each fight. In my opinion, hype in teamfights comes from the difference between your baseline energy, your average energy, and your peak energy. I'm a fairly soft-spoken caster, which means that if my baseline or average energy is too high, I lose the ability to hype up big moments because I can't create enough of a difference in sound for them to feel special. Coming into my final cast of the season, I was dead set on fixing that. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Academy. My name is still TJ, and we are into another exciting game. For me, it's a little bit crazy because I'm into another game of TSM versus CLG. For the Bragas in terms of gold, he'll dominate here, and he's back up to the top lane. Dokla, head smashed in, will blow the flash. Oh, and he's just suplexed out from behind the turret. Dokla's gone to a haymaker. Winston was in the area. Tuesday is waiting for him. This is a beautiful little gang setup. Evolved was nearby as well, and that gives Winston barely enough safety to get out, but he had to blow the flash for it, and he won't be contesting that Rift Herald. This was probably my best solo cast of Academy, which is a good trajectory. My rebuild worked. The downtime was stellar apart from a few solo casting mistakes where my words got ahead of my brain. I flow easily from pre-prepared analysis into story points into in-game analysis, but the play-by-play still isn't what I want it to be. I'm very happy with my skirmish calls. Ganks and individual kills sound consistently good. I even have one sort of teamfight I really liked. But the full-scale teamfights still fell a little short of what I wanted due to my misuse of energy, and that'll be my project going forward. I'll also need to work on integrating all of this into my duo casts. Solo casts are great for iterating ideas quickly and improving, but duo casts are about compromise. And if I can't find a middle ground, then I'm going to lose that friendly energy and focus on storytelling that I feel my new ideas have added. I want to thank Emily Stone, who didn't fire me once over the 2 seasons where I believe she had the power to. I make this video because I love talking about casting more than I love casting itself. The act of building broadcasts is sometimes what keeps me going day to day. Hopefully this starts more of a conversation. If you're a broadcaster watching this, reach out and tell me what you're working on. I'm genuinely curious, and my DMs at esportsTj are always open. If you're an amateur broadcaster watching this, please remember that my big lesson here was to think more critically about what parts of other broadcasters I was emulating and why. All my ideas as expressed in this video are about my cast, and the only wrong way to cast is like somebody else. Find your voice. I'm still working on defining mine, but for the first time in my career, I think I know where I'm headed.